So in the grammar book, in this chapter 14, 2, there's a chart coming. I think we haven't come to it yet, but it's 2, and then they're going to have an adjective right here. And then after the adjective, the next form, after an adjective, do we usually put gerund or infinitive? Infinitive. Yeah. So usually there's going to be an infinitive right here in this chapter when they talk about the 2. There are other grammar chapters where you might with maybe was it nouns? Yeah, with nouns. With, too much and too many.
Too hard.
Too hard.
To do.
Mm-hmm. Too hard to do. That's this one. Too hard to do. Right. So we use the 2. Yeah. In this situation.
Too hard. Too easy.
Yeah, and we also use it with expressions of quantity, right? How much, right? So too much. Do we say and too many? Like this. Much is for what kind of nouns?
Uncountable.
Non-count, uncountable nouns. What's an example of an uncountable noun?
Too much money.
Money. What's
Money.
such a problem?
Yeah,
Too much
right.
money.
Money, time.
Time, information, too much information.
Sugar.
Sand.
Too much sugar, too much sand, too much water, too much music. And many is for what kind of nouns? Countable. Too many books,
Too many people.
too many people, too many problems. Okay, so much and many, we use it like that. Too much, too many. Usually
Pain
there's
is uncountable. Too much pain.
too much pain. Countable nouns. Okay, but then there's another problem here. So many students in the situation where they're doing 2 plus an adjective, they use the 2 in the wrong way. What they're really trying to use is the so. Okay, so the so is similar to very. How difficult was the test?
It was so difficult. You can use too difficult, so difficult.
Okay, so
Two
you
is
could say
negative meaning.
there's a different meaning if I use so or if I use to. Let's make a sentence with the so. So I could say, okay, so I'm using it was so hard, but I passed. Was I able to achieve my goal on the test?
Yes.
I didn't fail, right? I didn't fail. I passed the test. Maybe I even got an A. Maybe I even got a good grade, right? I could say the test was so hard, but I still got an A. I got a top grade on the exam. But if I change so to to,
Too hard to pass.
To be negative.
I couldn't pass my test.
So I failed.
different meaning. So and to, different meaning. Okay, so to does not mean very.
More than very.
It's more than very. It's beyond very into the area of
Negative.
problem. It's a problem now. It has gone beyond very and now we have a problem.
So it will be a mistake if I say the test was too hard, but I passed it.
If you said the test was too hard for many students,
But I passed
It's okay.
they failed, but I passed it. But if you're not mentioning other students, you would say, the test was so hard, it was so difficult. I'm so relieved that I passed. But if it's too hard, it means it was a problem and people were failing the test. Too many students failed the test. If too many students failed, if a lot of students failed, the test was too hard. If it's a good test, only a few students will fail. If the majority of the students fail, then the test was too hard. Too does not mean very. So means very. So is very. Too means there's a problem now. What if I say I have too much free time on my hands?
Is it the problem?
That's a problem.
It sounds like a good thing, right? I have too much free time on my hands.
You need to find a hobby.
Alina understands, Christian understands. It's a problem. Anytime I use TOO, I'm telling you there's something problematic about what I'm telling you. It's not good.
So we have to use to only with some kind of problem.
With a problem.
With a problem.
What if your wife wants to buy a new pair of shoes?
Too expensive.
And do you tell her, if you can tell her two different ways. Now, if Alex tells his wife, Natalia, wow, those are so expensive. They're so expensive.
He's
So,
putting
yes, so
the
expensive, so I can buy
responsibility
it.
on
But
her.
honey, look at those shoes. They're so expensive. When she hears him say they're so expensive, she knows she still has a chance to convince him to buy the shoes. But if
But
he
if
says,
they're too expensive.
if he says, you know, I'm sorry, dear, they're just too expensive. If he tells her they're too expensive, he's telling her that right now in our bank account, there isn't enough money to pay for those shoes and pay the rent.
Uh-huh.
There isn't enough money. Those shoes are too expensive. It is not possible to buy them. The price tag is a problem for us right now, and it is not possible to buy the shoes. But if you say they're so expensive, but you have a birthday coming up, okay, so expensive means yes, they're expensive, but it's still possible. I think we're gonna have to get you those shoes. We're gonna have to do it. So I want you to learn to use the so when you want to say very. When you want to say very. So is a very popular word with native speakers. When they want to express something feels like a lot.
It was so beautiful. Something
But
like
never
that.
say to your wife, you're too beautiful.
Too beautiful.
Can you be too beautiful?
Beautiful
Is that
too.
possible? TOO beautiful? Can you
So
be too?
beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
like a
Well, not possible, but it's like, no. What if you are a supermodel? Imagine you are a supermodel. Do supermodels have any kind of problems because of how beautiful they are?
I
I
guess
think,
yes.
yeah.
Because they're too beautiful for average men, you know?
What happens? What happens to maybe a supermodel wants to enter into a romantic relationship. What problem could a supermodel have in a new relationship?
I don't know.
Too much attention.
Will the supermodel know if the other person likes or loves them for their heart, for their intelligence? Are they gonna know?
Somehow to know.
It's gonna be difficult for them to know who's their friend for their heart and who's their friend for how they look. Is it possible to be too beautiful? Is it possible?
Yeah, can
Yes, it,
Yes.
that's
can have
possible.
negative.
It's possible. Is it possible to be too rich?
Uh-huh.
Rich to the point
Let me
that
try.
it's now a problem for you?
Possible.
Is that a good problem to have? No. If it's too, anytime somebody says too, T-O-O,
It's some-
you're saying, I think there's a problem with this. It's to the point, to the level that now it's a problem. Do super rich people have problems?
Yes.
Yes.
different problems.
Also
Gloria,
intelligent.
maybe? It's hard for us to imagine their problems, but do they have problems because of how much money they have?
When
To
they
help.
have too much money, they're starting to conquer even other countries.
To conquer other countries? Think about a
Yeah.
child. Think about a child who knows that the family is so rich, there are no money problems in the family. They have a special bank account called a trust. They know that when so-and-so dies, they're going to inherit millions of dollars. The child knows that the child will never have to work to get money, that there's so much money in the family they don't need to work. They never question, they never look at the price tag on anything because there's always enough money to pay for anything. Could that be a problem for that child?
Yes.
No, it depends on person. If,
But hypothetically, theoretically,
Yeah.
could it be a
Can be
problem?
split.
yes, it will.
It could be a problem. That child may never learn the value of money, may never learn the value of work. When you put the two, now it's a bad thing.
Too intelligent.
So if we're just talking about water, too much water. Too much water. Bottles, I can count a bottle, right? 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. So I would say too many bottles. Too many books, too many cars, but too much traffic. So not countable, much. If it's countable, many.
I may have a question. Why both is countable and vegetables is uncountable?
Which one is
Fruit and vegetables.
so they are sometimes countable and sometimes not countable. So when we are talking about groups of different kinds of vegetables or whole groups of different kinds of fruits, we are talking about multiple groups. In the category of fruit, there are multiple groups. There are berries, there are citrus, there are exotic fruits, there are domestic, there are seasonal fruits, or there are whole groups. So when I'm talking about multiple groups, I can put S. In the supermarket, there's an area, a section called the produce section, where you can see many different kinds of fruits and vegetables, different groups, whole groups. But if you have just a bowl, inside of one bowl, you have one orange, one pear, one apple, one whatever, one mango, you can say, hi Marta, would you like some fruit? It's a bowl of fruit. Even though there's different kinds, would you like a piece of fruit? Would you like some fruit? Even if the fruit is cut up, would you like some fruit? Not some fruits. I wouldn't even say, would you like a fruit? I wouldn't put it. I would say, would you like some fruit or a piece of fruit? But in the market, supermarket, many different types and kinds of vegetables, types and kinds of fruits, then we put S for the types and kinds. Does that make sense, Miguel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, these are verbs. So We're looking at the first verb and then the next verb form. So we're looking at objects of verbs. Sometimes the object is a gerund, sometimes it's an infinitive. All right, so I prefer, and you see this to. So we're gonna have something to something. In the first space, we're gonna use drive, and we have to decide.
Drive.
I prefer to drive to
You see?
to take.
To drive.
And after I
No,
prefer
if
driving
you're
rather
driving
than
to take
taking
a
a
plane.
plane.
To take.
Okay, so for me, I would put a gerund here
Yeah, for me it sounds good.
because of the two.
Two. Sounds good.
Okay, there are two ways with prefer. So one way, if you're gonna use the two right here, you should have a gerund and a gerund. Yeah, gerund to gerund when you have the two. So the two is separating. On this side of the two, a gerund. On this side of the two, another gerund.
Gerund before two.
Gerund to gerund. Only after the word,
It's
only after
opposite.
prefer.
Drive
Only
is
after
opposite.
prefer. Okay, and don't worry about this point because we almost never do this anymore.
But in this case, prefer driving to
Driving to
taking
taking.
a plane.
Yeah,
Yep. Driving
to taking.
to taking. That's right. Okay, and then the other way we use prefer,
But to drive rather than.
the other way, second construction, there's a second construction, only with prefer. This is specific to prefer. The other way is to use infinitive rather than. Okay, so there's no to. This time we've got rather than. You don't have to repeat. You don't have to repeat the two. You use, they call it the naked or bare infinitive. You're just going to use the base form.
Rather than take.
This is the base form of plane. I prefer to drive rather than take a plane. Okay, but what do Americans really do?
Mm-hmm.
We don't even use the prefer. We say,
I'd
I
like.
would rather.
I would try.
I'd rather blah, blah, blah
Go.
than blah, blah, blah. I would rather go. It's a modal. Would is a modal.
So it's
Hey, I know.
would go.
I would rather go. I would rather do. I would rather have. Would rather is a modal. That's how we handle this prefer situation. We don't do this anymore. Okay, but if you read it, or if you have to write it,
But you can also use I'd rather be and adjective.
I'd rather be happy than sad.
In this example,
Without to.
No to. Because it's a modal. Modal plus the base form.
in this example, I prefer to rent or renting a movie rather than see one in a theater.
I prefer to rent.
Why? Can you
I-
explain?
Can you read the whole sentence for me again?
I prefer to rent or renting a movie rather than see one in a theater.
Okay, so what my ear goes to, I'm going to the rather than. So if you're using rather than, I'm going to use infinitive and infinitive with no to.
With rather.
Okay, if you're using rather or the than, if I hear the than, with the prefer, I'm gonna go to the infinitive. If there's no rather or no than, if I'm using the to with no than, no rather than, I'm using to, then I'm gonna use gerund to gerund. Okay, two constructions, but it's only for the verb prefer. We don't even use this anymore. We say I'd rather. You know, you can, what would you prefer? If someone asks, what would you prefer? They're giving you a choice, this or this. You'd say, well, I think I'd rather do this. I'd rather have this. Americans are not gonna, it sounds very formal.
I'd rather
Okay,
drive
don't worry about
than
this.
take a plane.
Yeah, I'd rather drive.
I'd rather drive than take a plane.
I would rather drive than take a plane.
I would,
I'd rather drive than fly.
I would rather.
I would rather
I-
modal. I don't even use the prefer.
I'd
Forget about the
rather-
prefer.
I'd rather-
Okay? But if you have to use the prefer to
I'd
compare
rather
two
to
things, you have two choices, two kinds of constructions.
When you use two verbs, continuous.
If you have a to and there's no rather than, instead you have only the to, gerund to gerund, after the verb prefer. It's only after prefer and prefer, only for prefer. But I'm saying you can skip the whole problem. You can avoid the whole problem. Don't use prefer. Just say, I would rather.
to do
I'd rather.
Regret.
And then the base form. So here's another one with a prefer plus the gerund.
Yeah, because we were driving, we stopped.
When you're using a gerund with prefer,
We stopped.
it's because there's the to. Okay, so prefer plus a gerund.
No.
I prefer staying home to going to the concert. I prefer doing this to doing that. Okay, or prefer plus infinitive. This is the more common one. I prefer blah. This is the one Jorge just said. I prefer to stay home rather than. Please notice this is an A, not an E. This is an A because I'm comparing. This is a comparative rather than, and this is parentheses, it's optional because it comes from the infinitive, comes from, but after the then you don't have to. So they put parentheses saying it's your choice. And if you don't have to, of course, everyone's gonna take it out. Base form to go to the concert. Okay, prefer plus a gerund, prefer plus infinitive. And I'm saying most native speakers would just say, I'd rather
Stop to use, yes, correct. Stop to use it.
base form,
For what reason to use?
no to. I'd rather go. Number one, verb number two, we have a choice, right? We can go either infinitive or gerund. If verb number one is in the present progressive or any progressive, if verb number one is ing, then verb number two, we're going to choose infinitive so that we don't have ing. You have a choice. You have a choice here. So let's do an example. So you can say, okay, so verb number one, start. It's in the simple present, and I have a choice because start can be followed by an infinitive or by a gerund. But if verb number one is in a progressive tense, if I want to use some kind of rain, if I want the next verb number two here to be about rain, am I going to use a gerund or an infinitive?
This is it. We have to use two.
Can I say it's starting raining?
I think no.
No,
No?
I'm not going to do that because I have another choice. I have my infinitive. Okay, so
Two
when this is verb number one. So when verb number one from this group, just from this group, okay, when these verbs are in the verb number one position, and when these verbs are in a progressive tense, verb number two, the next verb, will be an infinitive because we have usually we would have a choice. With these verbs, usually we can choose gerund or infinitive with no difference in the meaning. But if this verb, and verb number 1 from that group, begin, start, continue, like, if it's in a progressive, when it's progressive over here, then verb number 2 will be infinitive. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Yeah, okay. So verb number 1, if it's in the progressive and it's from the group, if it's from this group where you have the choice of infinitive or gerund. The one time you don't have the choice for this group. Normally you do have the choice. You don't have the choice when verb number 1, first verb has an ing. If this is ing, then you're going to go to infinitive. Okay? So this is only for this group, only for these verbs when they have ing. Okay? So the next verb after must be infinitive.
If I have a choice. If I don't have a choice,
If you-
so the 2 gerunds
If you do not have a
are 2
choice,
INGs.
if we're looking at the different group of verbs, we have another chart with verb number 1 followed only by gerund.
I'm considering going
I
Under
am
the rain.
considering going to
school under the rain.
school in the rain.
In the rain. Considering.
I'm
the
considering-
You can use ing too.
Yeah, I'm considering getting a dog, getting a pet. Considering getting, considering going. Consider must be followed by a gerund. No choice. No choice, because consider is in the group of verbs that always take a gerund object,
Consider.
right? No? Consider to do it or consider
We'll
doing?
consider going, yeah.
Where is
I'm
it?
just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
They have, it began to rain, it began raining, no difference, right? So we've got to rain, and we've got gerund. So we have infinitive, and we have gerund. Okay, because this is verb number 1, okay, verb number 1. So began, if it's the first verb, you have a choice, infinitive or gerund. Right? I started to work, I started working. If this is verb number 1, you have a choice. After start is verb number 1, you can have an infinitive, or verb number 1 is start, you can have the gerund. But look at this example. Okay. It was beginning to rain. They only give one option. In this one you have infinitive or gerund, infinitive or gerund. But in this one, only infinitive. Why? It's the same. Begin, here's like begin, right? It should be gerund or infinitive, but in this example, there's no other choice. Because the first verb, verb number 1, is progressive. Okay, so it's in the past progressive. You could also have future progressive. You could say will be beginning. Okay, so if the main verb is progressive and infinitive and not a gerund, is usually used, like it was beginning to rain. That's kind of important, I think, okay, because these are pretty common verbs. Not this one, but all of the other ones are very common,
Here is like
very common. So that's an important thing. Who can tell me what the preposition is in A, B, and C? Who can find the preposition?
About, of,
Okay. About, of, and in. Okay, what about in D, E, and F? What's the preposition?
Two.
Two.
Two, and two. Okay, and in G, the preposition?
About.
About. Okay, very good. Okay, after the preposition, the next verb form is, do you see infinitive or gerund?
Gerund.
You see gerund. You see ing, 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 ing. Okay, you see that every single time. The most confusing one is D, E, and F. Why would D, E, and F confuse you?
Because it looks like an infinitive form. Infinitive two.
Because two has two possible jobs. Sometimes two is an infinitive,
Sometimes direction.
but this two, and sometimes direction. I go to the store. To the store is not an infinitive, it's direction.
Yeah.
Okay,
And also preposition.
but this is not an infinitive,
Use
and it's
two.
not a preposition of direction. It's just a
It's from
preposition, and it's part of this expression. Be, this is be. I am is be. Okay, I am. Okay, and used to means comfortable with. This is
Yeah.
like an adjective, not a verb. This is the verb here. I am used to something. Something. Okay, sleeping with the window open. This is a gerund phrase, but this is the gerund, it's the object. And this is another prepositional. This is a prepositional phrase with the window open. Open is describing the window. Okay, so after this expression, I am accustomed to gerund. I look forward to going home. This one, this is one we use in business English a lot. Business English, that's usually how we close the letter in a business English email or letter. I look forward to, you wouldn't say going home next month. You might say, I look forward to hearing from you very soon. I look forward to meeting you soon. You know, I look forward to hearing more on this hearing more about this project. Look forward to doing something. Look forward means I'm anticipating the future with optimism. With a good, I'm waiting with like happy optimism. I'm expecting something positive. I feel positive about the future that is coming. Look forward to.
In finance, there is one document delayed forward. But they put the
Yeah.
money
Uh-huh.
right now.
It's according to
because
stocks.
You use
Forward.
it in the future.
Yeah, for future.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is the main idea of this chart. Preposition, gerund. That's all you have to know. Preposition, gerund. Okay? The problem is remembering which preposition goes. Like, do we talk about or do we talk of? Is she in charge of or is she in charge for? In charge. To be responsible for something. This is something you hear at work.
But as you said, in charge for, you confused me. It works also, is in charge for organizing, no?
Usually in charge of. In charge of.
Why usually this, not always?
In charge. I think it's always. You're
In
right.
charge.
It's always.
That's not always.
Always.
Why she said foreign?
There's some expressions
So it's
where
in charge of.
you have a choice, but not in charge. In charge is always
in
for,
charge.
yeah. In charge, sorry, not for. Now you've confused me, I mean,
You
Stop talking.
confused me. You said four and I was confused.
sometimes I think one word and my mouth says another. It happens to me all the time. And when that happens, please,
Now
Make
I'm
my-
recording everything you're saying. When you say something foreign, the
We're
system
recording.
is going
Please,
down.
yeah. But question me. Sometimes I make mistakes, you know. My eyes can be looking here and my mouth says the wrong thing. At home, my family said, you said that, but did you mean that? I'm like, oh, no, I meant this other thing. Does that happen to you? Or
Yes.
So it happens to me, and it just happened. So thank you for
No,
calling my
just,
attention.
I have to correct in my head, in charge of.
In charge of. Okay, so I'm calling your attention because this is useful vocabulary to you. Okay, so when it's your first day on the job, it's your first day in a new job, part of your new job is to learn who is in charge of this, who is in charge of that. You're trying to figure out the responsibilities of the other people. So people who are in charge of other people, those are managers and supervisors. You need to know the word in charge of, to be in charge. So what's the question? Who? Who is in charge of shipping and receiving? You know, it's like asking who is the manager, who is the supervisor. It's a good vocabulary word for you to know. Okay, yeah. Okay, in charge of. So general rule, preposition and then a gerund. Preposition and then a gerund. And this is not the first time we've talked about that. Okay, and if you really want to get frustrated and crazy,
Yeah.
here it is. Here it is. These are not all, but these are many. Okay, these are many of them.
More confusing is the last one, that one. All these two. Be accustomed to, in addition to.
Okay.
Be committed.
I'll just say for this part, anytime you see the B, you see B's over here. Are you gonna say I be proud? No. I am proud. They are proud. He was proud. Every time you see the B, you're gonna change the B. You're gonna conjugate the B. Okay. He was accustomed to working in this environment, but now it's changed. So we've talked about this vocabulary, some of these things before. So how did they organize these groups? These groups are organized by
Preposition.
by preposition. Is that a good way to help you memorize? Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Don't look at your book. Okay. Just listen. I'm going to shout a term, and you're going to shout
Preposition.
the preposition. Complain.
2.
About.
About.
Numero.
About. They say you can also use but use about. When they give you 2 possible prepositions, just memorize the first one. The first one is the more common one. Okay. Prevent someone. From. Very good. Was that Gohan who said it first? From? Yeah. Okay. Approve.
2.
Of. Louis, good job. Be guilty.
About.
Of. Be guilty of doing something. Yeah. Okay. After the preposition, I want to hear the word doing. Doing is going to be our generic verb that represents all verbs in the gerund. Be worried
About.
doing something. Worried about doing it. Okay. Talk about
Talk to somebody.
doing, not to do, right? Talk about doing something. Have an excuse
For.
doing something. Be tired.
Of or
Doing
from.
something.
Or
Good,
from.
Alina. Of
Or from.
or from. Very good. Doing something. Stop someone
From.
From doing something.
To do something.
From.
from
Doing
Doing
something.
something.
doing something. In addition
Two.
to doing something, in addition to studying gerunds and infinitives, we are also studying vocabulary. To count
On.
Count.
on, count on doing something. Dream
About.
about,
And of also.
also of. Dream about doing something. Uh,
Love songs.
Forgive someone
For.
Doing.
for doing something. Be devoted
To.
to doing something. We talked about that one before. Keep someone
From.
Doing something.
from
And of also.
doing,
Not of.
no, of.
From.
Keep someone from doing
These
something.
4 verbs, they are similar in the sense.
Keep, prevent, prohibit, and stop.
Like
Keep,
prevent.
they all
stop.
have a similar meaning. Block.
It's easy
to
to
block.
remember.
When you block someone
Mhm.
from doing something. To block them, you keep them from doing it, you prevent them from doing it, prohibit them from doing it, stop them from doing it. Interested
In. Doing
in,
something.
in, interested in doing something, very good. Succeed,
To.
In.
Succeeding.
they say in, yes. Succeed in doing something. Participate in, very good, in doing something. Be guilty
Of.
Of.
About.
of, to be guilty of doing something.
From.
Be afraid
Oh.
of. Be scared of. Oh, you know those. Take care
About.
of.
Take care.
About.
Take care of.
One.
Take care of doing something.
I take care about
Someone,
something.
but,
Care about
Somebody.
something.
Of. Take care of someone, take care of your health.
And also a verb, take care of doing something.
That's what it says, take care of doing something. Yeah, I'll take care of sending this package.
In charge.
I'm in charge of it, it's my responsibility.
I'm
Yeah.
charge of it or I'm charging?
I'm in charge of doing something. I'm in charge of that, he's in charge of this other thing.
I'm taking care of
Object, this is a legal term, object
To.
to. Object to is saying, no. I object to
Answering him.
letting you take off your shoes in the classroom. Believe
In.
in. Think about doing
Or
something.
But of. Think of me.
Think
Of also. Of and about.
Yes, think of all. Okay, this is very typical and okay. So these 3 verbs in blue, what is the base form of this, the 3 verbs?
Go.
Go when together.
These are all different forms of the verb go. So this is simple past of go, infinitive of go, present perfect of go. This is go, go, go. Okay, and after the go, your choices, every choice has a ing. Everyone, ing, ing, ing. The mistake that most students make is right here.
Two. Yeah. I-
Most students put a to that they should not put. There is no to. There is no to after the go.
Now, if I use I am going to go.
You're
Another
going
example.
to.
That's not about leisure. All of these things here, all of these things are activities that we do when?
In our spare
No.
time.
When we're at work. Do we do this at work?
No.
No, we do this after work. Okay, when we are not working. These are the kinds of activities we do when we are not working. Okay, in our free time, in our leisure time. Many of these are things that we do for fun. What is jogging, Surin?
Walking.
Walking around, okay.
Jogging.
Running.
Is it walking?
No, it's not
Or is it
walking.
a kind of
Running. Some kind of running.
Between walking and running.
Yeah, it is not running. It's
Slowly.
all the run,
Or
yeah.
slow running.
Slow running.
Slow running. Slow
Don't stop,
running.
please.
Okay, where is jogging? I don't even see it.
Student mind.
Okay, so, yeah, so the rule here is some kind of go. Go can be in any verb tense. It doesn't have to be in the simple present. Simple past, infinitive, present perfect. Go can be in any tense. But the next verb thing, if it's an activity that we do in our free time, we put it in the gerund. We put it in the gerund form. And there's no to.
Never to.
There's no to afterwards. That is the hard thing for most students.
So we can say I go to shop.
No.
I go.
Oh, I go to
shopping.
shop? No, we wouldn't say it that way. I mean, technically it's right, but no one says it like that. It's the last one over here.
Where is window
You
shopping?
just go in around
Window
the
shopping.
shops, just looking on the window.
Looking through the
Go
window.
windows, I think. Yeah.
I was looking for window to buy.
No, it's not
No,
buying the
no, it's
window.
just
Window shopping
walking.
is not buying the window.
Looking through the window.
It means
Not true.
you don't really, you might go into the store, but you're not going to buy. The plan is to not buy, the plan is to just look.
Recreation, my life.
It's like feeding your eyes, but you don't take out your wallet.
Because
Okay.
it's too expensive.
Because it's too expensive. So yes, when something is too expensive for you and you don't have money to buy things, what do? You
Go
can
with it.
still go and look.
It's можно трудно.
You can still go and try it on, but it means there's no plan to buy. We're just going window shopping. Means we don't intend to buy anything. We want to see what's there and how much and which store
It could
has
be
which
window
item.
looking, not window shopping.
Generally,
shopping.
in Rodeo don't drive.
Not
Okay,
shopping.
and these are,
Pretend shopping.
okay, so notice there's no to. There's no to. It's just go and then ing. Okay, I don't know anybody who does this.
I know.
You
I,
do?
yeah, I have a friend.
He's a birder.
No, go back to.
Likes to go bird watching. There are people who do it. Okay, go boating, go bowling, go camping, go canoeing. Canoe is a kind of wooden boat, small, where you use oars. Kayaking is very narrow. It fits around you like this, and sometimes you flip over and you flip back. Dancing, fishing, hiking, hunting, jogging.
Why is fishing with the star?
Because in British English, they might say go angling.
Angling.
Angling?
Angler, what does
angler,
it mean?
an angler is a fisherman, I think.
Angling.
Angler?
I think it's a fisherman, you can check. Angling is British for fishing.
Angling.
Mountain climbing. Also, we have rock climbing, go running, go jogging, go sailing. This is the one. Yeah, go shopping. Okay, this is the one most common, and this is where the students make the mistake. That's where they put the to, where there should be no to.
But I can say go to shop, yes?
No, just say go shopping. I need to go shopping. You need to go shopping, why? What do you need to buy? Okay, sightseeing is what tourists do when they come to Los Angeles. They want to find the Hollywood sign. They want to find Hollywood Boulevard. They want to find,
Yeah,
you get
absolutely
upset.
correct.
And they want to find Rodeo Drive. They want to find the Grove.
Get
They
to
want to
upset
find, they want to find the
To come to
Venice
the-
Boardwalk, 3rd Street Promenade,
Just
the Getty Museum in Bel Air. When you visit those tourist attractions, you are sightseeing. You are seeing the tourist sites. It's sightseeing. Most tourists do this when they go to a new city. Go skating, go ice skating, skateboarding, rollerblading, go skiing, go snowboarding. Snowboarding is not here. Go skydiving, go sledding. Sledding is in the snow. It's a little thing, you sit on top and then it goes down the hill and you drive it.
Yeah, I will do.
Snorkeling,
You go.
there's also scuba. Snorkeling, go snorkeling and go scuba diving.
Snorkeling.
Do you know-
going deep.
No, it's just.
Snorkeling is not deep.
Snorkeling is only with mask.
Mask, snorkeling is a mask and
The tube.
a pipe is
Pipe.
outside of the water.
Pipe.
Yeah.
Outside of the water, you're at the surface. Your face is in the water, but there's air. You can feel air on the top of your head because you have the pipe going for air. And scuba diving is deep down under the water. You have an oxygen tank. And go swimming, no two. Go swimming, window shopping, go skinny dipping.
Nobody knows. Skin is deep.
Nobody knows skinny dipping?
Skinny dipping?
Okay, it's good that you don't know.
Because it's
a bad
very
thing.
bad word.
Yeah, because I don't want you to do this. You might get arrested.
What
What
is
does it
it?
mean?
Skin, what?
Skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping?
Skinny?
Let's Google.
You got it, Paul?
Skinny.
Not yet.
Dipping.
If it's something that we can get arrested, it's related to the
It
shopping.
means show
Oh.
your
Ah,
genitalia.
But this,
Skinny dipping is swimming
without
Swimming
clothes.
with no bathing suit.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
skinny. How do you say it? Skinny?
Skinny dipping.
Skinny
Skinny
dip.
dipping. Skinny.
Yeah. Boarding is very popular, but it's not on this list.
Which one?
Sledding.
Sledding?
Sledding?
Sledding.
Someone would like to go
Sledding.
sledding?
What is
It's
sledding?
A sled is a small wooden thing with metal runners.
Санки.
Санки.
Санки. Накататься на
Санки.
санки.
Just call some.
You know, Santa Claus uses the sled when he delivers the Christmas presents.
Slaves.
Yes. So these are good. Okay. Things you would like to do, and, you know, go shopping is not really a free time activity, it's something we need to do often. So we talk about it a lot. I need to go shopping. It usually means for food, but it could be for something else too.
For clothes.
For a new dress for the wedding. Yeah. Bye-bye. Skydiving. Parasailing. Would you like to go parasailing?
Parasailing?
It's very
The
fun.
boat.
I recommend
On
it.
a boat or-
Off a
or
boat.
Just
Off on the boat.
Off a boat. So you start on a boat. They put like a parachute that's on your, like a sail on your back, and the boat
I think
goes
Yeah, I
forward, and the
tried
wind catches your sail, and it lifts you up.
I tried.
But you're
this
attached with a
I
rope.
tried
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
very funny.
Yeah,
I
fun,
tried
fun,
this one.
fun.
It was
Very
Not
fun.
funny. What's the difference between fun and funny?
Fun is a pleasure.
Just for fun,
Funny
it's
is,
like a
Fun
activity.
is
Smile.
pleasurable,
Fun.
but funny,
It's some kind
Something
of
make you laugh.
comedy.
comedy.
Make you
Comic. Funny is related to comedy. Fun just means enjoyable, pleasurable. It's fun. It gives me pleasure. But if it's funny,
But it's also fun.
For him it was fun.
yeah, so funny is haha. But something fun might not be haha. It just means I like it. And
But it can be so fun that
you also
to
start
laugh in
laughing.
the
Something
sky.
fun
Oh.
becomes funny, and you feel so
When
thrilling,
you drop into the water.
so exciting. Okay, yeah.
You
So
say, I feel
go,
funny.
no two,
I feel funny.
I feel funny.
no two.
Fun.
I have fun.
I feel fun.
But I can ask, do I look funny? So
Okay, and for
everybody
homework,
looks at me and start to laugh.
yeah, for homework, I'm gonna ask
Do I
you
look
to
funny?
spend a little time with this
Yeah.
chart.
I make you laugh.
We have fun.
Okay. Depende.
But
What
I'm
do you
having
mean?
fun with you. So
Okay,
it's
fun.
a very pleasure to.
Okay.
Okay, so these are some gerund expressions.